Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to BT Talks. I am right now at the One Hotel Miami Beach, and I'm going to have as a guest my good friend Alex Ikonn, who is a serial entrepreneur who founded several companies. He should be joining in a minute or so, so please bear with me. I see Sherry who joined. Hey, Alex.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you.
Good to
I
see you
didn't put
too.
the AirPods because usually I have some sound issues with the AirPods, but so I keep the traditional ones.
Well, hopefully it won't be an issue, so we'll see.
Hold on. So it's good to see you. It's been a long time. We haven't had a little chat. Last time I saw you, we had a very nice brunch in Notting Hill, I believe.
Yeah, that was
Nice,
great.
nice little restaurant. So thank you so much for being a guest of BT Talks. This is now, I believe, my 44th episode. I had a variety of fantastic guests, and I started this during the pandemic. It's actually a lot of fun. A lot of people in real estate, but not only, and people in Miami and all over the world, some very cool people. So, Alex, please introduce yourself, who you are, and your journey into being an entrepreneur and also to London.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I wish we could trade places. I'd rather be in Miami in one hotel
I
right
know
now.
this is your favorite place, but I happened to have a meeting right before here, and I was like, what do I do? So, this is part of it. So,
Perfect. Hopefully that Wi-Fi is strong enough. It's also one of my favorite places. Probably one of my biggest regrets is, being in Miami a few years ago. There was a lot of places for sale, especially at the one hotel, and it
yeah,
was not as moving as fast. I'm sure now it's all sold out. But
now yeah. Everything is selling
yeah,
and
but it's
at asking price or sometimes over ask because you see what's going on in Miami. So
amazing. Well, I totally understand with people and why they would want to be there. It seems like Miami is the place for freedom lovers in the world. So I'd
oh
love to
my
be
god.
there. So all
Well,
the
hopefully
people from around the world, especially the US, they're all heading to Miami. So
it's insane. I mean, just a little parenthesis on Miami. I mean, I moved here a year and a half ago from New York. I think it was the perfect timing. I moved
yeah,
with my wife, Raphael. And obviously, there's a lot of things in Miami, we didn't believe that there was going to be. I mean, the lifestyle is incredible, but now we have, as you can see, a great leadership from our mayor. And it's pushing people to come here, entrepreneurs, VCs, private equity, from New York, from Silicon Valley, from all over. So I think that's good. I mean, it's leadership. He's making a big push.
yeah, it's being a little controversial, but I'm fully supportive of it. Anyways,
Yeah.
so
So go ahead.
background and me, yeah, my name is Alex Icon. Originally, I'm from Russia, then grew up and immigrated to Canada, Toronto. So that's where I grew up. We then started our business, I guess, through a lot of, wanting to be an entrepreneur, not for reasons to, I guess, really thinking about, hey, we're going to make millions of dollars, but more like, hey, I just don't want to really work for the regular 9 to 5 and be able to have freedom in my life. And I think that's really the most important thing, that drove us to create and be entrepreneurs is freedom. So that's why we kind of went after. We really got inspired and read that book and said, "Hey, we want to do the same." And we started a, direct-to-consumer business, e-commerce. Before it was called direct-to-consumer, before it was cool. In 2010, we were, store 4,000 on Shopify. And now there's over 1 million stores. So we're kind of very early in the game, and we grew that business entirely through, you know, content and social media marketing. The same thing before
You
Instagram,
were
before.
you were early in the game. I remember. I mean, I followed you for a while, and then we connected through social and met in London. But you were very early on everything that's going on right now. So that's how you kind of also built a lot of momentum.
It definitely, and same thing. That's one of the key things is to be able to be early. But the thing is, even when you're early, it sometimes doesn't feel you're early. Sometimes it feels like you're late. I remember
Yeah,
even
sure.
starting out back then, you're like, oh, it's too late. There's already people on YouTube or things. But if you think about it, even now, 10 years later, it's still a great time to join YouTube, in my opinion, or any other kind of social networks and to build your own personal brand. And I would say, yeah, we primarily built that business, which was Luxy Hair, beauty brand in the US. through social media and through most of my wife's following, and but most importantly, I think providing value and creating content on these different channels. And we also, as a side project, created the 5 minute journal, and that idea
which
was,
I use
yeah,
every day for the past 3 years. So
it's incredible. And yeah, thank you so much. And then we created that as really same with that idea, not really to, hey, we're gonna sell 1 million of these. It was just, I want to create this product that I myself want to personally use and have, because I really believe in the power of your thoughts and how it can change your life. Because our brain is really like a navigation system. If you give it direction, and what you feed it, especially when you wake up and when you go to sleep, will really dictate the rest of your day and also the rest of your life. So,
100%.
so
I'll,
this,
I'll I'll add my experience with it because I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, I've been, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in real estate. It's not an easy business. We have good days, less good days, but you know, the fact of waking up in the morning and in the evening and writing what you're grateful for and how you want your day to be and doing it every single day. I mean, there may be 1 day or 2 days where you're off, which is fine, like everything. But if the fact of doing it has just made me more mindful, calm in a lot of different situations, and with time a lot of things are manifesting, and it works. And
yeah.
it doesn't happen overnight. It's not you do this for a week or a month and then everything's no. But if you do it, it's like a lot of things in life, but it's very powerful, and I highly recommend anybody who doesn't have a 5 minute journal to have one.
Thank you. Yeah, and what we call it is the toothbrush for your mind.
Yeah.
You brush your teeth every morning and night. So, and it's not like brush your teeth and say, hey, that's it, I'm good. I'm gonna now stop brushing my teeth because I think I got them to be as white as I could.
Yeah.
Because what happens the moment you stop brushing your teeth, all the bacteria, everything, it starts deteriorating quickly. And for some reason, we don't have this realization that your mind and your thoughts are the same, and we
Yeah.
automatically will navigate just the way we've evolved towards negativity. And the reason we've been built like this is really, if you think about it, survival. And you are, and your lineage and your heritage of your genes that allowed you to be here after millions of years, through
Yeah.
whatever, however way you've evolved, whatever you believe in, is that you had to be cautious, and you had to really look and see and identify risks to make sure you survive. So, that's one of my favorite books of all time is The Sapiens by Yuval Harari. And, it really speaks about kind of those things of how we as humans really developed. And that's why I really believe you have to override that system and to understand, like, your well-being, you have to design it into the habits you create every day in your life. So that's really the idea with the 5 minute journal. And then we also created the productivity planner, which is more on the productivity side, to same things that
Yeah.
you're not designed to multitask. And it's really important to only do 3 to 5 tasks a day max, and your real productive time in a day, likely focused productive time, is 4 hours a day. But how
Yeah.
do you maximize that time? How do you plan around it to actually get the most important tasks done, to be able to get you to complete the projects that you actually are important to you, versus just playing email bingo, whatever, the ping pong with back and forth.
That's a problem of a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs. Actually, like we have so many things to do that we multitask. But I used to multitask a lot. Now I'm very focused on the most important things. I do multitask occasionally, just because it's human nature. But
Oh
it's
yeah,
true
of
that when
course.
you set to do like 3 or 4 or 5 things in the day, and you're like, these are my most important tasks, it does make a difference.
I think that the point there is that if you want to do deep work, right? And then what I mean by that is, when it comes to building a business or creating, writing a book, or, doing any of these things that are not just whatever your career may require, um, that's what it takes. It takes that deep work, that really sitting down and focusing on it. And that's why, I'm a big believer in this. And like, me personally, the reason I do this is because I'm the biggest distractaholic there is. Throw me anything there is, that's why I have to put time limits and barriers on myself because I know that, the social media thing or these tools, you're not going to win. There's neuroscientists that work in these organizations like Instagram and Facebook, and they're going to get your attention. And you have to really create limits. So even, in order to do this with you, I had to go to Mimi. I had to tell her, my wife, I said, can you please give me more screen time? I'm like a child. And I'm only allow myself 30 minutes
So
a day on Instagram or Twitter or any of
so
these tools.
so my next question is, so you and Mimi work together. How do you manage the, I guess, family life and entrepreneurial life? Like, what does she take care of? What do you take care of? How does it work?
I think the most important thing is, what we got us to this point now is that we choose what we really want to do in life. And
Yeah.
for her, ever since having our daughter, it's been really important to her to be present as a mother, especially in these
Hmm.
early
Yeah.
years. So now Alexa, our daughter's 4 years old, and for her, she really really plans her day around her. So yeah, she's in nursery probably even half of the year, because here it's not like in US where you can just drop them off for the whole day from like 8 to 6 or whatever. So she, our daughter goes to nursery from like 9:15 to like 2, and that's the only time my wife
Yeah.
has to really do her own thing or work or whatever. And around that, she's with her. And I'm also, especially now, kind of mostly working from home and doing the same. And we take it easy, right? Meaning, we have our morning routine, we do our workouts, we go out, we get outside. We have that me time to be able to really ground yourself into what's important, because many of us, as before, especially during the pandemic, it's easy to just be in your pajamas all day and just hang out, and that's why people feel crap, and that's why they feel depressed, because they're not
Yeah.
creating these routines and patterns for themselves. Going back to the book I mentioned before, Sapiens, and Yuval Harari, is like, humans don't understand. We're just animals with clothes. Like
Hmm.
we're
Yeah.
no different. And what I mean by that is, we're like dogs. We need exercise. We need to be outside. I think if anything, this
Exactly.
last
Yeah.
year has taught us really the importance of social interaction, the importance of human touch, the importance of sunlight outdoors. You guys are thriving in Miami. You got sunshine. You got
That is what
you.
makes the biggest difference. I mean, I can tell you
Yeah.
this is like a blessing. So yeah, and so you also, I've been actually quite inspired by you for something you do on a regular basis is listening to Audible books. I love reading. I always loved reading, and you are really an advocate for Audible. Do you have any recommendations of some good books and lessons you learned from some of the books you listened to recently?
Yeah, I think most importantly, whenever anybody asks me for book recommendations, I always say, like, what are you going through? I don't really believe there's one book kind of for all, because the thing is, uh, when you read something, if it's not the right time for you, you're not gonna absorb that information. And even in myself, sometimes, somebody will recommend a book and I read, I'm like, yeah, it's like, or listen to it, I'm like, I don't get it. And
Yeah.
so I'll say it really depends on whatever the person's individual is going through. If we're speaking about overall classics that I recommend to everybody, if there is certain, if there was a
There's a few that I know, but you can mention them for the
yeah, so
audience.
I kind of, that's the reason why I mentioned certain books that had deep impact on me, and most importantly, my mindset and how I approach life. So if there was like a school of Alex and there would be curriculum, what books would I make sure it's a requirement reading? One, as I said before, right now is *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari. I believe it must be taught in schools. Everyone must read that book. The reason for it, a lot of us are disconnected from our history as a species and how we got here. A lot
Yeah.
of the things that we experience in regards to discrimination or people not getting along, it's just there's a disconnection that we don't understand. Like, hey, you're a Homo sapien.
Yeah.
We're all the same. We're all part of the same species. And yes, it's in our kind of DNA that there's actually other types of beings that existed, like Neanderthals, which were different from us, and many others, which we unfortunately, as humans do to many other life forms, have destroyed. And I live in London, close to the Natural History Museum, and it's actually fascinating because you can actually, next time you're in London, there is there's a display where they have where they discovered these different types of remains of bones, and they
Hmm.
put them together, the Neanderthal and these different species, that you can see that there's actually several of them. And the reason I
That's
kind of say for
incredible.
this is that, and these kind of things, I actually say it's the best business book for anybody to read. And the reason I say that is because to understand business, or to understand anything, is to understand humans and how we've evolved, and most importantly,
I couldn't agree more. It's
our
so true.
our
Yeah.
behaviors. So you're in the real estate, game, and this is that it's a pure
People
human,
business.
people
Human, you have to
behavioral
understand.
thing. You have to read cues, body language. It's
It's all about that. You have to understand. I mean, whether it's with clients, whether it's with partners, whether other agents. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to understand where that person is coming from. Why is that person reacting like that? All these things, and it's psychology.
pure psychology. So, and the biggest takeaway from that book is, we as humans are storytellers, and everything
Yep.
around us is a story. The idea of money is a story, meaning, we trust in the United States dollar, and the reason that exists is because we believe in that story. I think the most current story that is developing is the story of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and the reason that price is rising is because more people are believing in that story of
So what are
cryptocurrency.
just so what are your thoughts on cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all of that?
We'll get that. Let's park that. But let me finish on the books. So books,
Go ahead.
Sapiens, a must. Another one is called Linchpin, Seth Godin.
I read it.
I
Very good.
So what did you think of that? Was that helpful? Is my recommendation
It
for you?
was helpful. It's very helpful. I actually plan on, re-listening in it. I think it's just a book you should have, by your side and listen to it. And there's a lot of good lessons, from that book. So
Yeah, so Linchpin is there. Another one for relationships, a very easy one, is Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the reason I recommend that book, I think it's important. Like you said, one of your question was, how are you and Mimi kind of managing and being partnership? We now have been married for, what is it, like 11 years? We're celebrating 14, and you know, it's a lot has to do with uh, that relationship with love that you actually have with yourself. And Mastery of Love, and what that book has really taught me, is how to create that relationship with yourself. Because once you love yourself and have that love for yourself, you'll be able to love others and understand others and have more empathy. So Mastery of Love is
very
important.
important points. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure who's freezing. Is it me or you, Ben?
Here. So you're freezing a little bit
What is it?
for you. So on the image,
All good. Yeah.
it's all good. So another choose London to move from Toronto because you've been there now for what 10,
In London, we've been almost 8.
8 years. Okay. So why London and
Yeah, definitely. If I get frozen or stuck, let me know.
it's okay. Yeah, yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, but I guess let's before we get to that, we park the cryptocurrency stuff. Let me talk
Okay,
about
sure.
it. Hot
So let's
topic.
let's start with the cryptocurrency and then we'll go to London.
We'll get to London. I'm trying to get to all your questions. So cryptocurrency. I was really aware of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies very early. Being in Toronto and things like that. I even have posts from my memory how I was telling people to buy Bitcoin in 2013, even though I myself didn't have skin in the game and didn't do it. But I believed it, right? I'm like, yeah, like, you got to do. that this is the thing of the fiat currency and how it's important of this movement. And what Bitcoin really represents is decentralization, meaning uh, a new story that is emerging is that more and more people don't trust governments. They
Yeah.
make us believe that everyone kind of thinks, but at the back of your mind is becoming like everyone has more and more distrust of the system. And this is a problem for a lot of governments and people, and that narrative might be a little different. So um, more people are now believing into this idea of decentralization, and how do you have certain sovereignty and freedom over yourself. So my belief on Bitcoin is, like I said, don't. I believe in it as a story, as a element, as a store of value. Would I put all my money in there? No. Would I
There's
put?
risk. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do I have 1 to 5% of my net worth in Bitcoin? Yes. Right. And I think it's like anything. I personally, have done, plenty of angel investments to date. We've done, 30 plus of them, and I treat it the same way. It's a potential of something big down the line, but there's also potential of what you may face in terms of regulation and something to be aware of as an individual. So don't, don't buy Bitcoin with your credit cards or
No, no,
whatever.
no.
So
But
that's
the bottom line is you have to, diversify and have different, investments, but don't put everything into it. And also, I think it's very important to understand money and whether it's 1%, 5%, or 10%.
yeah. Sorry, I'm getting cut off a bit probably.
So tell us about London.
London. Yeah, so I think the reason for London, like I said to you personally, I'd rather be in Miami right now with the whole situation and how things are panning out. So I think you're in a great place. But London in normal times, I believe is one of the greatest cities in the world. And what it has, I think, especially being from Europe and coming here, is the beauty of Europe, and now of course with Brexit we're not as close, but it's still we're still almost there, and closer. Is this whole idea of the lifestyle, and you talking about real estate, and I think a lot of what real estate has to do is about lifestyle, and the lifestyle of London, I believe, it's really
Yeah,
being close to Europe, but still being having that English speaking business world access, and it still has that
yeah,
mentality of business and work more closer to, let's say, the US and Canada, of course not as hustlers as in the US are here, but it's in between, and it allows you to also have that access to the easygoing lifestyle of Europe. So
exactly.
yeah,
That
so
allows you to travel to Italy and to France.
exactly. Yeah, right. In normal times, we can be in Italy just for a weekend, or we can just hop on a train to Paris. And this last year and current year has really you know hit that. So it sucks. But hopefully, I really believe we will recover, and we'll go back to normal.
For sure. And I'll add on, London is also one of my favorite cities. I never lived there, but I went there many times. I have a lot of friends out there. And, I think all big cities are suffering right now. I mean, New York right now is very difficult. Paris is very difficult. All these cities is very difficult. But at some point, people will want to come back and have this, active in the city.